Competitor and LeBron James comes out. He's an intense guy. His son's in the battle.
LeBron and Savannah James might be putting way too much pressure on their kid, and it's starting to affect them in some crazy ways. Recently, people have been saying that LeBron's oldest son might be getting pressure to play basketball, even though it could be dangerous for him. But is that actually what's happening? What's going on with LeBron's kids? Here's what we know. LeBron is obviously one of the greatest athletes of all time, which already seems like it would be a lot of pressure for Bronny, Bryce, and Zuri. It's hard for anyone growing up to feel like they're doing their parents proud, and it has to be so much harder for those whose parents are as successful as LeBron is. The real kicker, however, is that LeBron isn't only modeling an impossible high standard to reach, he's actually also often made it clear that he expects great things from his kids. Sure, you could say that he's just a proud dad who wants to tell the world how great he believes his kids can be, but while that might be true, I think it's also true that all of LeBron's talk might be putting unfair expectations on Bronny, Bryce, and Zuri. As Bronny gets older and starts his transition into young adulthood, it's becoming more and more apparent that LeBron might be pushing his kids too hard. He's very open about the levels of success he thinks Bronny will reach, and it's very easy to imagine Bronny is feeling pressure. And it's honestly more than just easy to imagine, it's actually pretty easy to see the effects that LeBron's talk is having on Bronny. Bronny has been placed firmly in the spotlight thanks to LeBron's promotions of Bronny's abilities on the court, and he recently had a very serious health setback. But despite that setback, he clearly still has his eyes set on making it to the NBA. If you ask me, LeBron's version of Bronny's future might be influencing the way Bronny is handling his return from the health scare. I'm not sure whether Bronny is making the decision with his own best interest in mind, or whether he's just trying to appease LeBron. Is Bronny making his comeback to the court too soon? Has LeBron set the bar too high for Bronny? And what about Bryce and Zuri? Does LeBron expect too much from them as well? Back in 2022, when Bronny was still a junior in high school, LeBron revealed that he plans on playing his final year in the league for whatever team Bronny ends up playing for. Notably, there was no if in this statement. He left no room for the possibility that Bronny doesn't end up making it into the NBA. Instead, he just confidently said that he and Bronny would be teammates. Again, this statement came when Bronny was still in high school. To be fair, Bronny was a relatively promising recruit at the time. He was the number 19 prospect in the class of 2023 according to ESPN's rankings, but still, there have been plenty of top 10 recruiters who didn't end up in the league. It is very, very difficult to reach the NBA. It's one of the most exclusive and highly sought after clubs in the world, and LeBron made it very clear that Bronny would be in it soon. He actually took things even a step further the following year when Bronny was a senior in high school. LeBron chose to post a truly insane message on Twitter regarding Bronny's abilities. You actually won't believe what he said. In March 2023, he wrote that Bronny was already definitely better than some of the players in the league. He didn't say that Bronny had a greater potential than some of the players in the league. He said Bronny, a high school senior, was already better than some NBA players. If that isn't an example of overhyping something, I don't know what is. I think it's pretty clear that those types of statements from LeBron put Bronny in a very high pressure situation. LeBron talks about Bronny's NBA career as a surefire thing. But what if Bronny ends up underperforming in college? It's not impossible to imagine that Bronny's game doesn't translate to the next level. It's happened to many players before him, and while all this pressure might motivate Bronny, it could also totally backfire. 19-year-olds definitely aren't immune to crumbling under pressure, but maybe the craziest impact of LeBron's talk about Bronny is how Bronny's recent health issues have been handled. Bronny suffered a cardiac arrest during one of his first college practice sessions. He's a freshman at USC now. Heart attacks are no joke for anybody, of course, but to see a college freshman go through such a thing is horrible and completely unexpected. Bronny was rushed to the hospital where he spent a day in the ICU. His journey to recovery, of course, wasn't over after he left the ICU. While I don't know all the details of what happened in the weeks following the cardiac arrest, I'm sure he saw the best doctors in the world to try to figure out what went wrong. A month after Bronny left the ICU, the James family released a statement that Bronny had been diagnosed with congenital heart defect and that it was treatable. But the statement didn't end there. It also included that the family expected him to make a return to the basketball court. While I'm sure that Bronny probably expressed that he wanted to return to the game, I can't help but wonder whether he would have wanted to do that if his father wasn't LeBron, and if LeBron hadn't already set insanely high expectations for Bronny's basketball future. I mean, it would be totally reasonable to decide to hang up the sneakers after a heart attack at the age of 19. I can't imagine it would be easy for someone to fully commit to basketball again after it almost ended their life, but it almost seems to me as if Bronny Bronny had no real choice. He might have felt like giving up the game would be letting LeBron down, so Bronny did what he needed to do to recover. A month or two ago in late November, the James family announced that Bronny had been cleared to play, and he actually played his first game on December 10th, which I find totally crazy. I mean, he was back in the court less than 5 months after a heart attack. If you ask me, LeBron's insistence that Bronny make the NBA definitely impacted the way his return was handled. Perhaps he would have retired if somebody else was his father. The other two kids feel the pressure too. They're younger than Bronny. Bryce is 16 and Zuri is 9, so LeBron hasn't been as vocal about them, but it's clear that he still has big hopes for their future. Bryce, alongside Bronny and LeBron, appeared on the cover of Sports Illustrated in 2022 with the heading Chosen Sons. So I think it's safe to say that expectations are high for the younger son as well. I fully expect LeBron to soon start talking about Bryce's future professional basketball career the same way he talks about Bronny's. Meanwhile, Zuri is already being thrust into the spotlight as well. When she was only 5 years old, she helped launch a clothing collection, and she already has her own YouTube channel with over 200,000 subscribers. That's truly insane when you think about it. She is 9 and her life is being broadcasted to hundreds of thousands of people. If you ask me, her parents should probably have waited a little bit before letting her do such a thing. It's very obvious to me that LeBron and Savannah expect big things from their kids, and I'm worried that those expectations are putting too much pressure on them. But I want to know what you all think. Are LeBron and Savannah pushing their kids too hard? Let me know what you think in the comments below.